What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning back into On Air with your one and only rock star on the mic, David Duane, in the place to be right here, My Fierce Wings Radio, your throwback millennial, all that jack of all trades, shiznits, stuff. What's going on, y'all? What it is? What's up? Thank y'all for tuning to another episode of On Air with David Duane. Of course, today is July 6th. Oh, man, it's the first week of July. We made it. We made it. Y'all done celebrating your Juneteenth and your 4th of July and your fireworks and all the stuff that you guys are deciding and not deciding to celebrate. We don't talk politics here at all, so we're not judging, so do what you guys do. But anyway, we are glad to be back with you guys this week because this week and tonight on the show we have new additions very own and has a state's very own Ralph Tresvant. He's got the brand new single All Mine featuring Johnny Gill. If you guys have not seen the video, checked out the single. Guess what? You need to, because he dropped it just this past fall and he's getting ready to drop his project later this year. So can't wait to hear what you guys think about this interview, hear about that song and that video because it's a banger. It's a banger, okay? Him and Johnny do their thing. Not only that, but we got our boy, RL, on with us talking about The Letter J, his brand new EP. Yeah, so tonight is all about legends, R&B, legendary status type of stuff. And you know, I was thinking about it. I was like, do I conversate with you guys and give you guys Dear Duane? Do I conversate and give you guys entertainment news? I'm on the fence. I just don't know what's this episode energy is giving, because it's giving I just want you guys to hear a whole conversation and a vibe. I don't really want to go into much besides that. But most importantly, these interviews are super, super dope. I've been waiting to share these interviews with you guys for months. Months. So you guys got to stay put. Maybe I'll do entertainment news. Maybe I'll do Dear Duane. Maybe I'll do both. Maybe I won't. Who knows? Who cares? But you guys are tuned in, so that's what's most important about it. Knock stuff over in the middle. But listen, guys, let's go ahead right now, get into our interview with RL right here, right now, and we'll find out what we're doing. All right, we'll be back.
Hey, what's up? This is Mr. Butterlove, aka RL from NEXT. You got the love that I want, and you got the love that I need. You already know what it is. You checking out my boy, David Duane. Keep it locked.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning back into On Air with your one and only rock star on the mic, David Duane. In the place to be right here, right now, we've got our boy, RL. Now, you guys know RL for his amazing work as a solo artist, the group Next. But he's got this brand new project that you got to check out. Letters to My J. What's going on, RL? How you been?
What's going on, man? I'm doing great, man. I'm just excited. Thank you for having me. We haven't spoken in a while, and I'm glad to be back here just chilling, talking to you, man.
Listen, I'm glad to be speaking with you today because, like you said, it's been a while, and I gotta say welcome back to the show because you were definitely one of those artists that for the two interviews that we've done previously, always have shown love, always
Thank
giving
you.
people gems. You are a gem dropper when it comes to this
Oh, wow,
R&B,
man.
game and just the game of music in itself. So I definitely
Thank
want to
you.
give you your flowers and commend you for coming back as
Man,
well.
thank you, man. I appreciate it, bro, man. That means a lot, man. I feel like that I have so much more to offer, and I just want to keep giving, whether it's, knowledge or new music. If I can help artists, whatever it is, hopefully somebody will watch this and it'll be a revelation for them and whatever their purpose is, even if it's not music. So I appreciate that, man.
Exactly. So Revelation, we're going through these crazy times right now between COVID, police brutality, stuff like that. I know that you've been very vocal on your stance of how you're feeling about everything, but how are if you can share how you're feeling just as far as everything is, because we're in such a weird predicament. Like, who would have thought that we wouldn't be able to really be outside the way that we're used to, but thank God we have technology to keep that interaction and engagement alive.
Well, it's all about faith because you look at the pandemic and everything, and the question is, if there wasn't a pandemic, would we be able to focus on the issues at hand like we have, or would it have been a situation where in a few weeks everything went back to normal? I mean, you heard about somebody with a settlement and things like that. So I think that the distractions of everyday life are gone now. So now this has been happening for a long time. It's just the focus remains here now because you can't go back to your regular life. Still got to put on a mask if you got the right mind. You know what I'm saying? Things aren't the same. So I think that in any times in history, it was a rough time. It was like giving birth. There's a pain before there's, a pleasure. And I think that that's what we're going through right now. I think it's another rebirth for society. And I'm happy for Colin Kaepernick as well, because I think that people can see now, NFL has come out, even though I think some of that's not, as genuine as it should be. But I think that people are understanding now. I went back home because I'm from Minneapolis, where I feel like this thing really erupted.
Yeah.
I think that it all starts with the relationships that the police officers have with the community. And I also think that it has to do with these police unions protecting these officers. It's not, I've talked to police chiefs and they've told me I fired an officer before, but their union rep 2 weeks later had them back on the force because they got it arbitrated or something like that. So truthfully, it's them protecting their own, you know what I'm saying? And I think those are the things that we need to work on. But I'm actually, it pains me to see the comments and see these people that come out of the woodwork that are saying things. But I think that Trump is empowering them. But I also think that I'd rather know who you are than you be able to hide and me be at work working with you and, thinking that you care about me at work, even if we're not friends, we're, associates, only to find out that you're straight MAGA out here with a tiki torch, talking about all lives matter. So it works both ways. So it hurts, but I'm happy that we're finally, in a struggle together.
Yeah. And I definitely agree with that. I think it's really good to see that everybody is starting to use their voice a little bit more, even
Right.
though they might have been afraid. Because even myself, like like once everything just went crazy, I was like, let me not speak, with my lips, because I know that I'm going to have an opinion that is realistic to me. It may be realistic to some, but it's not going to be the popular opinion.
I got you.
I've never been the popular thinking, popular forward, trend type of guy. But
Got you.
what I do believe is that this nonsense is true nonsense, and there has to be a stop to this at some point, because we can't keep telling our younger brothers, our sons, our daughters, make sure you have your hands on the wheel and stuff like, when you get pulled over, make sure you have your license and registration on deck,
Right.
in the house
It's
without it,
true.
because these things do happen, but we're seeing it unfold in such a way where, especially like with Breonna Taylor, like in her own home.
But what's funny is I've heard these stories, and I'm from the inner city. This
Mm-hmm.
has been going on forever. It's just now with the internet, with social media, with camera phones, these things we're seeing. I mean, look at Rodney King. Those police officers got off. So, but cats in LA would tell me like, this ain't nothing new. This cop put his foot on my head and did this. These are things that have happened. I've seen my brother. He's been roughed up by the police. You know what I'm saying, and things like that. But what they always try to do is remind you of your past whenever they talk about somebody, and that's why I'm big on grace. But they want to remind you your prior mistakes. What happened to uplifting and setting you in the right direction and going, okay, you know what? Yeah, that wasn't cool, but let me just show you the way. And that's what the OGs used to do. But I think that we do that to ourselves. So they go, well, they do it. We should be able to do it too. And it's not right. Like, we can talk about what the failures that somebody's had, but who knows what their future held? You know what I'm saying? What's going to be next? So those are things that we need to think about.
Yeah. And it's a big thing that you said that, and it's a great thing, because I try to tell people, like, the future can change. We just have to start changing the narrative as time goes on and on. We can't. My biggest thing is, I tell people, and I know somebody's gonna hate me for saying this, you can't fight fire with fire.
Right.
But sometimes you got to add a little fuel, but you don't set them on too much on fire, because then we won't be able to see the right results. We're just going to keep seeing the
Right.
same cycle results over and over and over and over again.
Right. I agree, but it's funny because a lot of these cities and a lot of these protesters where things are getting damaged, I know back home that there were other cultures and other ethnicities that were flying in and driving up in trucks and busloads coming to destroy property to blame us. So I don't think we're necessarily trying to really destroy our neighborhoods and where we live and where we shop. It's not like that now. Is there some people that want a free TV or that gold rope at the jewelry? I'm sure. But the majority of these people are really just are angry and confused and hurt and tired. And how you let out pain is you can't really have an opinion on that. It's like I always tell people, when I dated before I was, married, women would always say, like, when you get angry, you get quiet. And I go, you want to know why? Because what happens is it becomes about how I reacted to your mistake and not about the mistake. So you didn't have to say it like that, or you didn't have to well, why is it about my reaction now? Why isn't it about the reason I reacted? And I think it's the same thing with these protests and even, all this rioting. Why are they rioting? Like, I think a lot of times we let the reaction be the big story and not the original action.
That's a message for him. That is a message. So let's switch gears, because I know I think we might have talked about it before, but I want to talk about the fact that you are big on religion, spirituality, and working out like that to keep you centered and keep you grounded. Like, how important is to do those things and to stay focused within religion and fitness and just kind of stay centered, especially during these times?
Well, I can't say I'm religious. I say that I just love God and I know how blessed I am.
Mhm.
And sometimes I have to remind myself. That's why I read every morning when I wake up. The first thing I do when I wake up is thank God for waking me up, because it's easy to look at what you don't have. I look at other artists that I might feel like I'm as talented as them, or I can do this, or I can. And you start, in comparison is like the devil. So there's times that you become unappreciative of your blessings, and I have to remind myself of all those times looking out the window in my mama house on a twin size bed, because my whole life I slept on a twin size bed that was my mom and uncle's bed growing up. So I didn't have a bed until I made it, put it like that.
Right.
So I have to remind myself on how far God has brought me. As far as working out and taking care of myself, I remember coming up running into artists that I looked up to that didn't take care of themselves. And I'd be like, yo, that used to be. And I never wanted to be used to be. And then I have a 3-year-old daughter now and a 24-year-old son. I still want to go to my daughter's school and they go, oh, that's Rory's dad. Hell yeah. I still want you to look.
Right.
Hey, what? Hey, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Wait, you know what I'm saying? Hey, but hey. So I want to grow old gracefully, and I want to be able to, you know, play catch or tag or anything with my daughter. And I just think that I owe her that. You know what I mean? She didn't say, okay, dad, wait till you're 40 to have another baby and let it be me. No. So I gotta be, if I'm 80, I still gotta walk into the room and her husband or whatever still be like, hey, Mr. Hugger, I owe that to her. And I owe that to anybody that loves me and has invested time in me and believes in me to be the best me, to represent. You know what I mean? Like perfect example, Rhea, my publicist.
Yeah.
She plugs us. It's my responsibility to be articulate, to be open, to be respectful, to be on time, to do all these things, because I represent her.
Yeah.
Dealing with you, because she'll call you about another client. And I think that we have to understand we're extensions of somebody. There's always somebody watching. It's God, but you represent your mama, your dad, somebody, your sister, your kids. And that's what I try to do to the best of my ability.
Whew, man. Every time we talk, it is a message in a word. And I love the fact that you said we are representations of our mothers, our fathers, our team members and stuff like that. A lot of people do not think about that. And I'll even say, like, me having a PR company myself, it's like that. Like, I even, stress with my clients, stuff like that. You not posting this or showing up on time is a bad reflection
On you.
on me.
Yep.
Whether that person was like, oh, I get it, I totally understand, no worries, David. But then they're going to think in the forefront, right there in their mind, this happened with this person, and this did not happen with this person. Now I got to watch this relationship a little bit close, because if
Exactly.
you give off that wrong perception in any tiny way, people think about that. They don't forget. They'll
Right.
remember.
That's true. Most definitely.
And I think that's the amazing thing that we have to, constantly emphasize with raising children and stuff like that, make sure that you hold yourself accountable and showing up on time and being, have your perfect appearance like that. Like I was joking before we got started saying, hey, I wish my hairline was a little bit on point, even though it is, it's about having those standards. So for you, like as a not only as a father, but someone in this business, but just a jack of all trades, if you will,
Thank
and the importance of that and letting your children know that and just letting them know that, hey, these things are important to life. Like, how is that like raising of a child and just, putting certain structure into play?
Well, for me, man, I think the biggest thing is, I could live off publishing and just chill out and just live my life, you know what I mean, and ride off into the sunset. But I'm always pushing my daughter. Like one day she comes to me, I want to be a doctor. Another minute, I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a singer. My job is to let her know she can do all those things. I get in trouble now because she'll jump off a stair. It'll be like one stair, but her mother will get scared and she'll go, "Mommy, I could do anything." But because I've pushed that narrative, right? Well, I can't tell her that, and then I give up because there's obstacles. I haven't had an official project out since what, '02 or '03. But the diligence and the me to continue to do records. Yeah, I've worked on other artists and done other things, but for me to continue to refine my gift is a testament, I think, and to show her an example of perseverance and belief in myself. I don't care who believes in me. I don't care if this manager didn't work out or this label said no, whatever it is. If I believe and I continue to work and work hard, I have to be an example for her. So that's the biggest thing. I always say my son is the reason that I made it, and my daughter is the reason I keep going.
Wow. That's amazing. And can we talk about even being an artist like that? Because you've been signed to major labels. You brought up another point that I want to talk about. Um, but you've been signed to major labels before, and now you're independent. Just that
Uh-huh.
transition from being signed to a label to independent, how would you say just kind of even learning the business even more was rewarding for you, and then understanding how important being hands-on as you grew as a man it was?
Well, the blessing for me was from jump when I came in the game at 17, 18 years old. I wrote Butter Love, so I was writing records from the beginning. So for me, I hear a lot of artists like, "Yeah, I want to do independent so I can get all the money." I'm gonna be honest, I'm the opposite. I want a machine of some sort only because that's another reason I put out the letter J, because I wanted people to go, "Oh, wait a minute, what's he doing? Who he signed to?" Because I didn't go out and openly look for a deal. What I did was say, let me just put this out because I want to walk into a building, not crawl. I want you to offer me something. I don't want to ask. I want you to see talent in me, believe in me, and go, you know what? Let's go for another run. So let's run it back. Um, I know a lot of artists feel like, well, yeah, I want the money myself. I want to keep everything. There's a lot of work. And I understand that it's easier for a newer artist to be independent unless you have unlimited resources. And I have, great resources, but the question is, do I put that into a new video and marketing, or do I put it in Roy's college fund? Those are the kind of questions you literally have to ask yourself. For me, um, it's draining, but then you have a small team that really believes in you. We got, of course, Rio, we got Jade, and we got Doc, and of course my partner B Flat. You just have this small group of people but other times people will let you down. When you walk into a building or make a call and you're not attached to that machine, sometimes people aren't as quick to want to get on the phone with you. You know what I'm saying? So you have to understand that. This business is really about what have you done for me lately. It doesn't matter what you've done, or it ain't like I fell off and just put out some whackness. I just disappeared for a minute. I had to live and grow up, become a real man. But I understand the reason cats want to keep all the money, but luckily for me, I guess I came in the game cash and publishing checks. So I'm like, well, look, I'm gonna make this regardless. So I don't mind if you putting in the work and you believe in me, and you're using your resources for us to eat together. And I think those are the dynamics that you have to look at and choose what's best for you. The other thing, and I don't want to be too long-winded, is
Mhm.
the hardest thing about being a veteran artist and trying to do it yourself is how many times you've seen one of your favorite artists come out with a new video and it looked like they shot it on an iPhone 4S compared to the Hype Williams video or the Billy Woodruff video, and it could be a dope song, but they
Right.
don't have that label resources to go, okay, I'm going to get this casting agency to get these girls. We're going to do these locations. These aren't things that you were used to even doing. You showed up, you might have looked at a treatment and said, okay, that's it. Now you're not saying, okay, let me see camera quality. You paying somebody, they're doing your video. All of a sudden it comes out and your audience is expecting the level of greatness that you were last seen on. And then when you don't give them that, they can't even listen to the music the same. The music might be dope. You can control that. The music might be just as dope as ever. But if the visual doesn't connect with them, I hate to say it, they judge you. Be like, oh, you such and such fell off. You see that new video? Man, I just saw such and such here. Boom, boom, boom. It ain't even about the music. Because right now we live in a time that's not, and it hurts me to say, it's not even about the music, which is crazy. So yeah.
It's not. It's about so much more. It's about that visual presentation. And I tell people all the time, like, you can have, for me, I always say, listen, the music is the main product, right? But if it does not look appealing to people, they will shut you down. You can be the biggest of the biggest. And if they see anything that looks wrong, they'll be like, what's that? No.
Right.
Like,
It won't even work. Right.
Because they feel like it aesthetically has to be appeasing to them. And it's like, no, this is not to appease you. This is to show you where my artistry truly lies. And I think that there's that big confusion where these fans, that it might be the fans from the 90s, the 80s, the early 2000s, where they have it in their brain thinking that there's going to be a continuation of
Exactly.
a cycle, if you will. Yeah.
Right. And then if they didn't put the work in, or all of us are gonna age. The truth is, do you take care of yourself? I know there's some counterparts that smoked, whether it's weed or cigarettes or some other stuff sometimes, or they drank too much, they overindulge. So now they might look a little older than they are, or they look weathered, like a leather wallet or something. They done been through some things. And they
Right.
didn't take care of themselves. I always felt like it was my responsibility to be the best me that I could, because KG from Naughty by Nature, Clive Davis, even the group Low Key, Lance and Prop T, who originally discovered us, even them, I was an extension of them. That's the things I had to remember. So keeping my hair cut, maybe it was growing up in a hair salon, my mother's salon, and cutting hair in high school, but I was like, got to stay groomed, got to make sure I take care of myself. And I just want to do that because I feel like when you look at me, you see my counterparts. I want to be a great example for the members of 112, Jagged Edge, Drew Hill, all these great groups that came out when we were out, because we represent one another. Because they go, oh, that's one of them groups from, you don't remember back, which group was it again? Sometimes people say that. You was in, once was it, and so they kind of group us together anyway. So you kind of have to feel like, look, I represent all of us whenever I'm out, whatever I'm doing. Because if I go kill it on an award show or something like that, they go, well, you know what? We need to do this again. Who can we get next year? Those are big things that we have to think about.
Yeah, it's really big, especially when it comes to like the world of booking and stuff like that. And I definitely wanted to talk about that from getting money from publishing and then being able to fall back and do these shows like that, the 90s shows, the 2000 shows. A lot of people don't understand that sometimes it's okay to just focus in on that versus putting out music constantly, so that. And my motto is, RL, and I don't think I've ever said this, true R&B or any true artist is going to take their time. They're not going to rush at a project. Even Brandy with the amazing album of B7, she took
Yeah, I
her
love that.
time with that. Luke James takes his time. You take your time. Marsha takes her time. Elle,
Right.
Bridget, Raheem, even Slim and Mike with this brand new EP with this 112
Yeah.
project, taking their time. So even so when you think about both and stuff like that, and then and the concert aspect, why do you think that there is a confusion as to why these artists that are touring artists, because you're a touring artist, and I think
Right.
that's a key word that people don't get. These artists that you guys see all the time, 90s, 2000s, 80s, legendary artists are touring artists. They can fall back and for a
Right.
minute
And
and
just
focus on
tour.
the music.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I think that it all goes to this. Back then, not saying there aren't talented artists now, they are, but they're just not seasoned. So you could be a dope artist, can write, perform in the studio, but do you get in front of an audience and keep their attention? without the fireworks, without the 10 dancers, without, all these extra things, can you get up there and just sing your butt off and put on a show, be a showman? And I think that sometimes artists get put on and they're dope. They're just not ready. They haven't had artist development. They haven't had any type of struggle because when we were coming up, if you wasn't a drug dealer or athlete or ex-athlete, there wasn't no studio. So if you didn't know one of them, you what working. We be an acapella group, you'd be something like that. So we had to work just to get in the studio. Now with technology, as long as you have a laptop and a microphone, you can go online and buy a beat off YouTube or off one of those sites. You can do it and come up with some dope records. But you haven't rehearsed. You haven't learned to be an artist. You learn to make music.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of newer age artists haven't refined that portion, the live show thing. So a lot of times the
Yeah.
audience goes and sees it perform, and after they get over liking the song and singing along, and they were like, wait a minute, this is what they doing. They boring, or this is that. But when you come to like the artists from my era and the era before, they had to know how to perform because
Yeah.
they couldn't fall back on technology. They had to know how to, look, 112 Jagged Edge put on great shows. Donnell Jones, John B, all these great, they know how to put on a show because we were having to do talent shows before we made it. We had to look like professionals in order to become professionals.
Correct.
So it's just different.
Yeah, definitely had to do those talent shows then. Shoot, I don't even think the kids even know what talent shows even
right.
are.
Who you tell they have open mics now. They literally
Right.
have open mics like you done already made it. Like you got the full system. We had to use the auditorium system at the school, okay? Wasn't the same.
That was the real word of mouth.
Right.
So we got to talk about this amazing project, the Letter J EP. You've got this I Do record, like I was telling you, oh my gosh, this 4-track EP, if they haven't checked it out, they've got to check it out because it is a good prelude and introduction that's going to introduce them to the new sound in this brand new album that you're coming out with this fall and stuff like that too. So coming out with this project, and then even that song, before we talk about the project, let's talk about that song in itself and the concept behind it, because you went off.
Oh,
and
thank you, man.
I think the pen was like set like off where it was like psh, it exploded when you did that.
Well, that's probably the oldest record on the whole EP. It was going to be a next record. And it's my guy Thomas, who's a music guy, manager guy, good friend of mine. He kept telling me, you need to put this record out. You need to do something with it. Because I was like, man, I'll give it away. I'll do whatever. He's like, no, if you're going to give it away. It's your record. You need to do something with this. So me and B Flat, my production partner, who's a genius, he knows how to bring me what I need, and I bring my element. And I wanted to show some respect to John B because he's like our generation's Michael McDonald. And I think people just don't even realize that back then when the game was so saturated with the Tony Riches and all those different artists that he just surpassed so many people when the odds were kind of stacked against him. You got Alan Thicke now and different things like that. But when he was coming out the way he did, I remember people they thought it was Babyface, like off jump. I think it was Someone to Love at first and had Babyface on it. And they were like, well, wait a minute. And he's a producer. He's a musician. He's super talented. And we're on the road a lot together. He'll come in the dressing room and hang out. And he's just such a great spirit that it was paying homage to him. That's what all of the records were doing. We're paying homage to people, like Jodeci. I looked up to them. That was like our blueprint. With Janet, it was Jimmy and Terry because I'm from Minneapolis. And it was funny because PJ Butter, who's an amazing DJ, he's the first person that really believed in the project, played the Get To You record, the Janet record. And it's funny because I look up to Jimmy and Terry so much, even though I've had a chip on my shoulder my whole career because of them, because they didn't sign us. They could have, and they didn't. And it hurt me. Like I wanted to be, my cousin was like the secretary at Flight Time. So I was like, we're going to be at Flight Time. Nope. And he DM'd me and told me he was proud of me. And it was like, I literally screenshot it, like a little groupie, like, oh, Jimmy Jam just DM me. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. So it was really paying homage to all these great acts and putting a spin on it because I always tell people there's a fine line between trying to sound too young and sounding dated. And I feel like a lot of times they try to age us in our urban society, our ages are old, but in other societies, it's not. So it's a fine line where like even if I wanted to come with some older sounding music with a groove, oh that sound dated, but then a younger artist can come with that and it's, oh, they're paying respects. So we have to really watch and police what we do. And with the letter J, that's why I called it the letter J, because we got John B, the two Jodeci samples, and then the Janet sample, and it was really just my love letter and my reminder to people. Like, hold on, let me show you. It's almost like my demo. That's why it's free. Like people are like, I want to go stream it. Where can I go stream it? I'm like, no, you can't. Go here. Go to these sites. You can have it for free. It's yours. And like, well, I want to support. The way you support, and I want your audience to understand this.
Yeah,
If I
please.
do some, if I do, if
This.
it's simple. If I do something stupid, bad news travels at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Good news and good music travels like a snail. So if you listen to the project and you like it, tell somebody, and you tell them. If they like it, tell somebody. All I need is that old school word of mouth. Repost it. That's why we came up with this whole simple 60 concept for the videos. Video 60 seconds, because I want you to repost it. And I know that it's almost like going to the grocery store on Saturday. If you go there and you get a sample and you like it, you're going straight to the aisle to get it. Now imagine if it's free. If you go get a sample, you know go stream it, you go do whatever, and if you like that 60 seconds, you're gonna want to hear the rest of it. And that's what the whole point. Every video for this project is gonna be 60 seconds. We're about to shoot the next one next weekend. Carl Kanai, man, I saw him in London last year, and we did like one of his first photo shoots back when we first came out, or I think it was our first shoot. So I hit him and was like, I need some 90s gear. And he was like, send me your address. And it's those kind of relationships that you can have of people that you might not have seen in years and ran into them in another country. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, what's up? And it's a level of respect. And I think that relationships is the big thing. My favorite saying is, you utilize, you never use people. You know what I mean? Because when you feel used, you might not pick up the phone. But if you utilize relationships, only great things can happen. So if you like that, that's why I'm here with you right now. I mean, you can talk to anybody. You big time now. You already know. So truthfully, I'm utilizing this relationship. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I want your viewers to say, you know what, I'm gonna go listen. And if you like it, tell somebody. It's that simple.
Exactly. Now, and let me tell you something. I love the fact that we have such a genuine relationship, so like that. So when I saw that the project was out, I was like, "Yo, this interview has to happen." We were well overdue to catch up, like that, because it's
Most
been.
definitely.
But you know, I love talking about the new music and stuff like that, and I'm looking forward to this album. So tell us about the concept of this album and what things we can expect, because that's the big
Well,
thing everybody's looking forward to.
well, it's a few things coming. I have an Afrobeats album that I wrote and produced most of it. I went to Africa last year and I just fell in love with the sound, and it was crazy. But we have a Next by Nature project coming, which is an EP, which is Next to Naughty by Nature. To probably be the final next project as of right now. Who knows what God has in store? We'll still tour, we're not broken up or nothing like that. It's just the new music thing. Everybody's off doing their own thing. But even before the official main project, in about a month and a half, maybe a little bit longer, I'm putting out RTV. I grew up MTV, which is like MTV. So I grew up like in the 80s. It got like that sound. And we've been working on it for months now, to be honest. So that's coming next. That's probably going to be about 7 songs. And
Okay.
that'll be streamable, but that's coming. The album probably come top of the year. Hopefully, it depends, because if there's label interest and things like that, which I'm praying for, then we'll figure that out. But the album is called The Procession. And the intro is probably my favorite so far. Well, I can't say it's the most heartfelt, but we sampled Butter Love for the album. We sampled SWV because there's a record that Coco's supposed to be on. What else? We sampled Renee and Angela and one other one. DeBarge, I think. Yeah, we did DeBarge. But besides that, it's all original music. And the reason I call it The Procession is because the procession is when you're headed to the funeral. And everybody thinks they headed to my funeral. They're like, okay, he the old guy. And I'm like, nah. If we headed there, while I'm in the back, just turn the stereo up. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's called The Procession. I think that a lot of times we don't give people the flowers while they're here.
Right.
And then when something happens catastrophic or that, life is gone, then we want to talk about their greatness. And heck, I want my flowers now. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So yeah.
That's what it's all about. That's why I was like, listen, before we even had got this interview fully started, I was like, yo, I gotta give you your flowers. I gotta commend you for coming back.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you for real.
Yeah, because you are an R&B pioneer. Whether
Oh,
people
wow.
tell you that or not, you got to think about what next was and what next is.
Thank you,
These,
man.
these groups after y'all had to follow. They had to follow y'all immature boys to men,
Yeah,
Jack
Jodeci.
Jodeci,
Yeah,
112.
yeah.
Easy and JoJo, like they had to follow what y'all did. Y'all set a blueprint. We don't
I
even see
appreciate that.
we don't even see any male groups right now
Yeah, yeah.
that are
True.
known to our eyes. Let's just put it like that. That are known to our eyes like that.
Right. That's true. I give you that, man. I appreciate that, man. I mean, that means a lot. And that's what keeps me going. I feel like um, it's all about legacy now.
Hmm.
And I represent something that's bigger than me, whether it's the other groups that came before, whether it's my family, which includes, of course, Philip Bailey, Earth, Wind, and Fire. That's my cousin. So I just feel like there's a lineage and a legacy that we have to continue to set examples for upcoming artists and artists that are out now that maybe can see, well, okay, let me not make that mistake because I see this right here. Because we've made mistakes, and for you to learn from those is what makes us so impactful. Because if I make a mistake and I allow you to make it after me, knowing I could have prevented it, ain't nothing gonna come good to me because of that. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to do the right thing, continue to put out great music, have fun, live my life, kiss my daughter at night. You know what I'm saying?
And she
So
is
yeah,
so
that's
adorable too. I love
thanks,
when
man.
you post her. I'm like, look at this cute little thing.
Thank you, man.
No doubt. So before we even go, and I ask you like our favorite question that we ask all our guests, just going to Africa and then being able to get that sound influence to do this Afro Beats project. Like, how amazing was that to be able to just like test different sounds and just like figure out a different sense of direction too.
Well, if you're a true artist, you're always taking something from somewhere. You're a sponge. It could be a commercial. It could be your friend complaining about his girl, or complaining about her guy. It could be anything.
Right.
Um, I call my music Afro sheets. So it's like a little sexier. So I was like, how could I take that and implement it this way, but with some of these dope beat sounds? Because a lot of it's about cadence. It's about their groove is different. So when you see a whole audience grooving a certain way, you're like, wait a minute, I want to be a part of that. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times we'll do shows and they'll have local artists or even their bigger national acts open up for us. And I'm watching them. I'm studying everybody. I don't care if I'm the OG what. I'm trying to learn something. So all I'm doing is trying to take these lessons learned and bring them back home and go into my laboratory and say, I like what he did. Let me take this from this artist. Let me take this here. Because we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just taking different elements from different things that we've experienced and been around and trying to implement them into something that is us. And I give credit all the way, you know what I mean, of the different people I'm listening to. Because I noticed that Burna Boy just sampled Naughty by Nature for his new album. So it's like you look at these
So
different
dope.
things. Yeah, and everybody's taking something from everybody. And that's what's fun. You're supposed to. You're supposed to. It's a sign of respect.
Yeah, it definitely is. What advice do you have for the upcoming artists or emerging artists that are really trying to break into the music business? I know I'm pretty sure I've asked you this question before, but what is your advice? Just kind of seeing where the climate of music has changed over the last 6 years.
Okay, well, I have two now. So the first ones I always tell people, they laugh. I'll be like, first piece of advice is shut up. They're like, shut up. I'm like, yeah, I can go in a room with an Uber driver, delivery guy, and engineer, and some new producer or new artist and learn something. If I be quiet and just become a sponge, I don't go in there like, oh, I'm 23 years in. I know this and do this. And no, I can continue to evolve and grow and learn new things. So that's the first thing. You never know who you're around and what they could become, because I've seen the assistant become the boss. I've seen it. You know what I mean? So cats do not understand. I've had people that's interviewed me, and all of a sudden I see them on the national news. There's things that people do not understand. People grow. You never know somebody's trajectory. Secondly, work on your craft. Yeah, social media and all that's important now. But eventually it gets back to the music. Somewhere, somehow, yeah, I'm disappointed. I go in meetings and the first question isn't, let me hear a hit. It's, what's your following like? What's your social media presence like? And I'm gonna be honest, sometimes I have to remind myself to post. Like I have to remember, let me take this down, or let me get some footage of this, because truthfully, I'm too busy living, trying to create, trying to explore and be a sponge to my environment. I'm not trying to tape it. I'm trying to experience it so that I can use it later creatively. So understand that, yeah, it's good to know the technological side of everything, but it all comes down to good music and being a better artist. So work on your artistry nonstop, regardless.
Yeah. And I think that that's important that you said the shut up aspect, because I think that there is a lot of times where people don't even understand. And this is even in all, facets of life, like shut up. Shut
Right.
There's so much. I literally shout. If you heard the conversation that I have, like on a day-to-day basis, like literally looking at text messages saying, shut up, shut up. Like I chant shut up all the time. There's so much more we know something, obviously, as we live and experience life, right? But we don't know everything. And there's always a change in how the game goes. Whatever game that might be, there's always a new way of living in a
Yeah, it
situation.
is, but I agree. But it always still comes back to the product, because I've always feared for a lot of new artists. Like, okay, it's cracked for a month. Crack for a month. You better bust some real estate, some dope, something, something, and invested it and flipped it, because longevity is the key. Your discography is the key, and longevity. People be like, "Well, you ain't had this, or you." Man, I'm 23 years in. This you ain't supposed to last this long. So I'm living on the what is it, the house money. So it's like, it's a beautiful thing. Do artists like myself and a lot of the other great artists from my time want more? Of course, but we had a nice run, and
Yeah.
I might be jogging now or skipping, but I got some legs under me still. So I think that that's the key.
Yeah, that's definitely the key. And what would you say are like 2 to 4 things? This is our fun question. 2 to 4 things that you exemplify as a man and then as a entrepreneur and artist.
Hunger, that's one. Um, Stubbornness, because if I wasn't stubborn, I would have given up by now. I'd have been like, you know what, fine. A quiet belief in myself, because I doubt myself like crazy. I grew up with low self-esteem, but I know that there has to be some quiet belief in myself for me to keep going. And lastly, grace. I had to learn that one, because we live in a cancel culture society now, and truthfully, it's about grace. Instead of looking for reasons to hate, I look for reasons to love. And that's the hardest thing, but it actually took a weight off of my shoulders to be able to say that, because I've had a lot of wrong done to me, a lot of artists that, done things, people owe me money. I mean, you can name it. But I can honestly say that grace. I remember years ago, I lost everything. My account stole everything. I lost everything. Oh, yeah, I can remember moments where I would pay my mortgage on the first, and by the second, or by that night of the first, actually, I can't sleep because I'm worried about how can I pay it the next month. To now living a great life again. I know that God has plans for me. Yeah, I want it to be on my time, and I want it to happen now, and all these things that I have in my mind that are going to happen. But I have faith, you know what I'm saying? So honestly, man, things are great. Things are amazing.
No, that's amazing. And I'm glad things have been amazing for you in your career. Like,
Thank you.
and even being the man that you've wanted to be, overcoming that low self-esteem that you've had. And how did you get to that moment where your self-esteem built up to now get you to this point where you have the amazing confidence that you do in yourself?
Yeah, well, I still have doubt. The truth is, just having people around you that believe in you and see greatness in you. So that's why it's always important to have the right people around you. I've had to get rid of, I always say, just because we're related doesn't make us family. There's relatives that I've had to exit from and keep out of my life. There are people that I've had to work with that I know don't care about me, but I've had to come to the realization and understand, okay, this has to just be business. There are times you want things to be more, but you have to let it be what it is. And once I came to that understanding, okay, these people right here might not care about me. No matter how much what I do benefits this person, they might not love me like I love them, and that's okay. but I'm gonna be blessed regardless. And then sometimes you look at their life and you look at yours, and you see how God is really intertwining yours, and maybe not as much in theirs. Then you just take it for what it is.
That's a fact for sure. And RL, thank you so much for joining us again on the show. Definitely appreciated chatting with you. You gave everybody something to really think about.
Thank you, man.
So I
No,
always,
no, no, no. This is about you, bro. Let me be on your platform and inviting me back into your home, man. I feel really honored. And we'll talk again soon. Just be ready, because when these next projects come out, I'm gonna be back on with you. So I know
yeah.
you have a fresh cut. You probably grow it back or something. You know how
Oh
you do.
yeah. I'll be back to blonde, blue, whatever color. But I was like, listen, I got to give myself a chance to breathe for a moment.
Well, it's good to see you, man. I can't wait to do this again.
Absolutely. So let all the followers, well, they need to become followers if they're not, but let all the viewers know where they can, just follow you as far as your social media.
Well, the site is justrl.com. That's where the EP is and everything there. You can download it for free. But everywhere, I'm Just RL, JUSTRL, because I'm Just RL. So, yeah.
All right, you guys. So that was our interview with RL. Yes. Make sure you guys check out the Letter J, that brand new EP. He's got some brand new music that you guys are hearing about, that Naughty by Nature project. Oh, my goodness. I'm just like dancing a little bit because I'm just thinking about it. I'm just thinking about the project and how dope it's going to sound. And RL is constantly, if he's not working on music for himself, he's always working on other projects. So listen, I'm excited. He just needs to drop some more. Give us a full body album. Okay. So listen, you guys, on some real honesty here, I've been upset for the last couple of weeks. Okay. Well, more so the last couple of days, months, years, a long time now. And more so because of this Britney Spears conservatorship. Let's talk about it. This is the only entertainment news that we need to be covering right here and right now. I don't know if you guys have heard the conservatorship hearing that happened a couple weeks ago, but Britney really went in depth with the whole story. She feels like that she's been in an abusive conservatorship, that things are not going in her favor. Everybody is just using her, which they definitely are. You guys need to really stop. I don't care who comes across this video, because her father, her mother, her family, just like she said it, her family have not been trying to help her whatsoever. If you're trying to help somebody in their mental and their physical stability get better, right? You wouldn't put them in situations where they have to work. Britney Spears ain't have to work since Baby One More Time. Back in 99, 2000, Oops, I Did It Again, for the second album to follow. Like, she doesn't have to do another tour, another album, another movie, another perfume drop, another Vegas residency. She doesn't have to do any of this stuff. But the fact that she could not stop her Vegas show up until the point where she said she's going to hold this next show because of her dad being sick. See, then it was fine for her to stop. But then before, everybody wanted her to keep going. This selfishness of everybody that is involved in this whole entire situation. And it's so heartbreaking because Britney does not deserve this. She should be able to trust people in this world. She can't even trust. She can only trust Sam and her children. This is just ridiculous. And people keep stepping down left and right. So her longtime manager, Larry Rudolph, I should know his name. Larry Rudolph stepped down as well. The, company that's overseeing the finances of Britney's estates stepped out. And now it was rumored that her conservator, Judy, was stepping out, but that's not the case. As long as Britney wants her to stay in the role as her conservator, currently what she does, she's going to stay. But everybody keeps going and going and going and going and going. It's like left and right and left and right. So it's like, what is really going on in this whole entire situation where people are feeling like they got to go because they know it's the truth? That's the only time that people leave a situation, when they know that it's the truth and that there is nothing further that needs to be said there besides the fact of maliciousness and just disgustingness. We even have heard tons of times from Jamie, from Lynn Spears, Britney's mother, several times where she's noted, she's written, she's said it out loud that her ex-husband Jamie has been abusive in many different ways, and we've heard the stories of what he's done as far as that family is concerned. So why is this greed just a continuation? Like, I don't get it. Like, I just do not get it whatsoever. But Brittany wants her life back, and she deserves to have her life back on track, doing the things the way that she see fit for her life. She wants to get married, but have another kid with Sam. She wants to have a kid with Sam, but guess what? She's got a damn IUD stuck in her arm or something that they're not allowing her to take out. What type of crazy nonsense is this? And the fact that the conservatorship has gone as long as it has, and Brittany has proven herself, even through the conservatorship, that she is more than willing to take care of herself. Not only that, but she's paying legal fees for everybody involved in this situation. So this is bogus. This is the most torturous thing I've ever heard. And Brittany's even compared it to sex trafficking. I mean, it's like, do you blame her? I don't blame her. I've been a Britney fan since I was a kid and stuff like that, and it just bothers me to see such a legend, such a powerful woman, especially now. It's at a time where a woman's voice is necessary to be heard. And I'm glad that Brittany, if you ever come across this video, you ever see this, I'm glad that you were standing your guard and standing for everything, and for every, not even just for yourself, but for every woman that has been in a situation where they've not been able to use their voice or been afraid to speak out. The fact that now she's able to speak out, and she did not care what anybody said, and she told her truth. And what matters is when a person feels like they are victimized, and when they are truly a victim and they finally speak out, that's what all that matters. And I'm glad that she's finally using her voice, because we believe that Britney should be freed. Okay, so it's hashtag free Britney for us over here on air with David Duane and stuff like that. So you guys continue to keep your prayers and love going towards Britney, so like that, because this is an absurd situation that has been going on for 13 years. Her appointed attorney has been is in the process of filing for a petition so this conservatorship should end. Recently, over the weekend, it came out that Britney did call 911. As a matter of fact, a couple of days leading up to the court hearing, so that everything that has been going on could be put on record. So now that call wasn't told about until after, the hearing, but it was reported from sources that this definitely indeed happened, and she wanted to make a record of the abuse that was going on. She has no privacy, and they made her take lithium. Like, do y'all understand how severe that is? Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And then Jamie Lynn, her sister, comes online, and first of all, it was her husband. It was the husband for me first. It was her husband for me first, before even Jamie Lynn said anything. And I feel like, first of all, as an in-law, which you are, sir, you shouldn't have anything to say publicly about, Britney at all. You should be silent. We don't even know who you are. That's number one. We don't even know who you are. Fast forward afterwards, Jamie wants to make her comments, and she wants to say, whatever makes my sister happy, and she's doing a lot of eye rolling, and, just it's a lot of things, because I feel personally that she feels guilty for not being able to step in, even though there were rumors saying that, Jamie could be should step in as the conservator for Britney. I don't think so. Because it's clear as day that Jamie doesn't want any part of what is going on. So that's for why, for now, she has now just been speaking about the whole entire situation, which is, understandable. You don't have anything to say, then you shouldn't have anything to say now. You shouldn't have anything to say aloud. And I think the death threats that people have been sending towards Jamie is absurd. If anybody's been doing it, that's been watching this show, or knows somebody that's been doing it, please stop. Like, you don't make matters worse. You do not make matters worse. And trying to make matters best, which I don't know where how I kind of feel about Lynn, but I feel like everybody's on this money trained as far as Britney is concerned. Lynn even wants an investigation, wants the court to look into Britney's wishes and to make sure that this conservatorship ends. But she did say that she feels like mixed feelings about the whole thing. So it's like she says one thing, then she says another, and then when she's talking to press, it's like that she's got to be real low key, hush hush. So what I'm just going to advise the Spears family is to not be greedy. Let Britney live her life. Let her go. You go about your life and you do the things that make you happy. Let this young lady be happy. She turns 40 in December, and I believe that Britney should be free. You know what I'm saying? This is all retardedness. So from the bottom of our hearts here at On Air with David Duane, My Fierce Wings Radio, David Duane, we send our prayers and love to you, Britney. You are in our thoughts while in prayer as all this craziness is going on. You've always been one of my faves. You've stayed my fave since day one and forever and always. But this is just crazy nonsense that should not be going on for anybody, for any woman at that. They say that conservatorship should only be something that, even when you get older, like when you're an elderly person, like that. I don't even think that should even be what's said and done. I believe, just a simple power of attorney should be what happens, and to just go from there. But a conservatorship, I think that's a little bit on the extreme side. I don't think it's ever that deep. It should never be that deep. Britney wasn't even in that type of mind state where it even needed to even be that. This whole conservatorship thing should have never happened from the onset. Should have never happened. She should have just went to go get help, what she did, and she should have been able to make her own decisions from there, and she should have been able to manage her own money, which she can, because she knows how to control her own life. She's done it before. What makes people think, the state of California think that she can't now? So that is the only entertainment news that I want to talk about, you guys. We'll get into regular entertainment news another time, another week. But Britney's been on my mind, been on my heart, and it's been weighing on me very heavy, especially after hearing that call and just to know how sick people in this world can truly be. So that's entertainment news for now. Let's get into our interview with Ralph Tresvant. Like I told you guys, he's got the brand new single, All Mine with Johnny Gill. He's working on his 4th album. We'll be able to get that album later this year, this fall. I think it's still coming out. It's coming out very soon, y'all, this year. So make sure that you guys stay put. Don't go nowhere. We're getting into it right now.
What's up, loved ones? It's Ralph Tresvant. Make sure you check out my interview with David Duane.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning back into On Air with your one and only rock star on the mic, David Duane, in the place to be right here and right now. We've got our man, the legendary Ralph Tresvant, on with us from New Edition. He's got this brand new single called All Mine with Johnny Gill. 4th album getting ready to release, top of 2021. He's joined with us. What's going on, Ralph?
I'm chilling, man. Been looking forward to this one, Duane.
Listen, I've been looking forward to this interview like all week. So thank you so much for taking time out, because I know you've been very busy getting this 4th album together during these times.
It's been a lot of work. It's coming together, though. We're getting the right records together. We have some that I've already cut a bunch of records, but trying to find that one to follow up from All Mine, that's been the case right now. Just trying to make sure we got that right one to come behind this one before the album drops. So it's been tough, but at the same time, it's what I do. So I'm gonna make it happen.
Exactly. And I know you've been recording over the years, though, but you haven't put out an album in a while. So what was it about? I know that All Mine came as a demo originally for Johnny, but then he was like, yo, Riz, I think you should jump on this. This is more so your record. What was it about this record that said, you know what, I'm going to put this out as the first single versus these other records that I've been working on over the years?
It was a couple of things. The song came out really good. The vocals was clean. Everything was just really good. The producer has a huge track record out there. Him and his team. They've done everything from Charlie Wilson. I mean, they just got everybody. It's been winning for a lot. And Johnny's been using them a lot for his albums. And so one of the things was that. The other thing was that following Perfect, with Johnny singing the lead and me doing the feature on his album, on that song, it just made sense while that momentum was kind of out there and going to reintroduce the project with that momentum, that same momentum. It seemed to be working. Everybody likes that combination. They have been since shoot, I guess Can You Stand the Rain and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that combination seems to work. Because I hadn't done anything in so long, I just wanted something that had a little bit more to it. And having Johnny on there with me, coming off the perfect single, just sounded like a good combination, and just the best way to go right now.
Right. And speaking of Can You Stand the Rain, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, you're working with them on this new project as well. How has it been just getting with them and having them, really oversee the project and making sure that it's that traditional Ralph Tresvant sound that you've been putting out for years?
Those guys are masters at this, man, and especially masters at using my voice. How to best use my voice, how to produce me in the studio. They get it. They know what my capabilities are versus my limitations and stuff like that. So when they go in there to write records for me, they're writing them with all of that stuff in mind. So I always look forward to just going in there with them, because I always feel like I'm going to get the best of myself out. And unpredictability, just doing things that I wouldn't come up with myself, and knowing that they're knowing the genius that they are when they get in there, what they're going to do with the type of harmony structures, the bridge, the movement of my voice is just going to be brought out in a way that most producers, they don't know me that way. So they probably write a song just in a general record, and I have to go in there and make it work. These guys, they cater stuff to or tailor it straight to what I'm about, what I've been about in the past, and they understand how to make that merge, I guess, better than anybody. So I don't have to try to sound like I'm chasing, trying to still be young or current or what the younger guys are doing, but still have a relevancy to the sound. They understand that that's what has to happen. So getting with them, I always just feel like I'm going to get a great record.
Yeah, that's amazing. And also you're working with Babyface too. Is that what I'm hearing through the grapevine too? You want to have him do some things on the project?
Faye sent a song or two in that we're looking at right now, trying to see if they're going to work. But yeah, I'm looking forward to. I hope he can make the album. He's really busy doing all this stuff. He's putting together his own project right now.
Oh
But
wow.
he submitted some songs that he actually submitted them, a couple of them, a while back when we were about to do the New Edition project. He submitted a song or two then that I revisited. Said these might work for the solo project right here. But he's also trying to hopefully come up with something that's even more catered as well, because he's another one of those producers that know me, and I've worked with him in the past, and him and Darlin KO, they did like Stone Cold Gentleman and Love Hurts. They did songs on me in the past, so it's kind of just revisiting friends that I know me, and great producers, and they have a track record of their own to add to the album's mystique or the album's anticipation, knowing that they're going to be on there. I figured it'd be great to sit down with these guys and come up with something. So
Right.
yeah.
And it makes
Mm-hmm.
a lot of sense to kind of keep it traditional to the producers that you're used to working with, and not, kind of chasing these new guys, which I'm sure you're going to probably get in with some new guys as well. So just to kind of have that up-to-date sound. And All Mine has an up-to-date sound to it, and it's not doing too much. It's not far off. So just kind of listening to the music, and I'm sure you probably listen to a couple of the new artists, probably not too many of them, because there's a lot of trigger trash, as I like to call it, going on. But who are some of those artists, that brand new artist wise, that you're listening to, that you would actually love to work with, that are like so dope? If it's like a Drake, if it's a Her, if it's a SZA.
It's just one of those things too. When I listen to the newer artists and I listen to people out there, I listen for the ones that kind of are in the same kind of tradition of what I've been doing. When I hear guys, like The Weeknd, or I hear the style that, we talk about merging the styles, I hear like Drake. These are guys that I've actually listened to when I play some of their music, and I feel like if I was to do something in that realm, it would be fine, because they're winning with that style right now. So they have a sound and they have a style that I know if I got with those guys and kind of went down that lane with it, I'm not going too far left. But at the same time, I'll get that up-to-date current vibe going on with it as well. So that's the same, I guess, approach that was taken with All Mine, where it feels like musically kind of feels like a traditional record, but the sounds, the sonicness of it, and the lyric, the way that the arrangements of it kind of merged a now and then kind of thing together, so it works. So I believe that those are the kind of artists that if I was to work with them today, I'd be able to come up with something that's believable, because I don't want to do stuff that feels like, oh, here he go trying to be Chris Brown, or trying to be, some of the new cats. So my thing is to always stay true to being me. So when you hear a record from me, you feel like you're hearing a Ralph Tresvant record, or at least a New Edition record, something that's from that family. So That's the idea. But I like the Weeknd. I mentioned him in the past, and I like Drake. And I think that if I could get some songs or something, even a collab or two with those guys would be great. It'd be a good look.
Yeah, I think that would be dope. And I want to talk about New Cats, especially, you guys having the new edition story was 3 nights. Even though a lot of people feel like it should have been in the theaters. It should have been like how the Temptations was done for, like, really expand on that, because you guys have such a plethora of history and just legacy that there's got to be more down the line. And I know that there's you guys were in the works of doing like a cartoon, or still are want to do that.
Absolutely. We was in the process of doing that. X actually was being moved around. We were just waiting to sign it. We was trying to finish out the projects that we were working on, do a new album, get the movie out or the life story. And I think one of the things that happened in terms of doing just what you're saying, with doing it over the 3 nights, we had more time to tell the story than we would have had on the screen. you know, getting people in the theaters would have been a little different than when they're at home and they can just turn on their TV and watch it. Sweat probably helped get the numbers up to where they were. It broke records and all that kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, trying to tell 40 years and what sometimes the longest movie, probably 2.5 hours or so, somewhere around there, it's kind of tough to do that. So we felt the best course of action was to be able to take the 3 days, which was going to be what was an hour each night or something like that, and stretch it out where we can get most of the story in. But I agree with you. There's so much history and so many things about New Edition that we couldn't address because you're trying to condense it into the time frame that we had. The budget that we was working with couldn't really allow for some of the sets and some of the settings to do some of the other things that we would have probably wanted to add to the movie. But overall, I think we got a lot of it in. We got most of the nuts and bolts, how we started. We were able to do the little going into the bigs
Yeah.
instead of starting it at one era. We got a lot of things in that budget wise and time wise. The best course of action was to take it to BT or to a network that could play it over the course of a certain amount of days. What I did think was going to happen, and we did talk about, and it may still, I'm not sure, but I know we thought it was going to be able to continue more like a series where you see the first set
Okay.
back with another 3 or 4 episodes or something like that, where we could keep it moving, uh like some of the stories that you see on Netflix and things like that, that they have more of the episodes, they
If
go
you look
deeper
at what
into.
BET is currently doing right now with like the Rough Rider story, the New Limit Chronicles. I mean, No Limit. I say New Limit.
I know what you're talking about, but exactly, being able to just take that type of form and let the first three get the excitement, and then come behind that with more. But unfortunately, that didn't happen even. But it still may. It still may. I can't say that it won't, but we're still adding to the history. We're still adding to the legacy. So hopefully, there's some of the stuff we couldn't address, and some of the new things that we're getting into, we'll be able to continue it. Because the ride is still going. It's not
Yeah.
over yet. A lot of the stories, the members were gone, and there wasn't no anything new being done with a lot of these stories to continue it with. But fortunately, we still have time to do some more things and probably come back and tell the rest of the story.
Right. Were there some stories that you feel like you left out that could have been a part of, maybe those first 2 nights that BET did do though?
Absolutely, just more in depth. You got to the point where you saw us coming from the projects, but you couldn't get in depth of going into each person's schools. Like I was forced bus to school, police escorted every morning into a area where they didn't really want black people to go in or kids in, and what that was like, being rocks and eggs and stuff thrown at the bus. This is from elementary going into high school. I was doing this, so some of the things that just gives you even more detail. I think we could have got more detailed with it instead of just hitting the subject a little bit, so that you understand that this is where we came from. This is how some kind of how it happened, but getting it more into detail, each character, and following them around a little bit more close, a lot closer actually, than just some of the surface stuff that was addressed. For me, that's what it boiled down to, just being able to get more detailed with the walk, the journey, opposed to just kind of giving these blanketed versions of the story, so that you can get to it, without killing the budget before we can do some of the bigger things that needed to be talked about. So I think with more time or additional episodes, we would have been able to go more into details, even from the parents and their upbringing, their lifestyles, and all that stuff. I think Johnny's parents weren't even mentioned at all, and got into his whole thing. He just kind of popped up in the Heartbreak era, and that
Oh,
was it.
here I am.
Exactly, just kind of popped up where could have got more in depth of how his story was unfolding individually. Stacey Lattisaw and some of the stuff that merged him eventually into New Edition, and how that all really had to happen to break him into the industry the proper way. You know, those kind of things could have been, and each individual has that kind of a story. With Michael and his upbringing, going out to the suburbs, basketball all star at a young age, just trophies all over the house. I mean, whatever it might have been, we could have gotten a little bit more detail with it had we had more time, budget to work with.
Right. And speaking,
Mhm.
I want to speak on budget and the business of it there, but Algie Smith played you in the film, and I've got the pleasure of working with him. So seeing that he really studied your mannerism, and you had the opportunity to work with him as the movie was going on, how did you overall feel about, like, just him as a person being able to really take your story and apply it to the screen, and then honestly, just him as an overall actor and artist?
He was perfect. You know what I mean? We could have tried to find somebody like Bryce that played Michael, that already had the status and all this kind of stuff before we went into it. But when I met him, he reminded me a lot of myself when I was that age. You know what I'm saying? The things that he was doing off camera, the type of cat that he was. You know, Algie's real raw with it, but at the same time, he only displays what needs to be displayed to further what he's doing, when he's in front of people. That kind of brother, opposed to just trying to display things just to be cool, or display parts of his life and his man, or what he does off camera, off screen. He's he reminded me of myself, and he was into the part. He wanted to learn about me. He would call me, both of them, him and Jahi, the one played at me, Little Me. Both of those guys would call me, hey, what was you thinking during this time? Like, what was your attitude when they asked you this question, or what was your attitude when you went into rehearsals, and that kind of thing. And just when I was there, wanting me to get up and perform the song with him in a way where he's kind of behind me, just watching my swag, watching how I move around stage, how I interact with people. He was studying that stuff for real. So I thought he did an excellent job. Versus I mean, it's hard to find somebody that's going to some kind of look like you, can pull that off, can move and have some of your mannerisms that felt believable, and could still hold the notes and sing the songs and all that stuff as well. It was tough. That was a tough cast, coming from a group that everybody knows so well. They know the individual. So if it don't come off right, it was, that ain't gonna work. You didn't have to go too far with bad wigs and crazy makeup to try to get the part done. He was perfect for me. He was my side. I just thought he did a great job and was perfect for the part, man.
Yeah, he definitely was perfect for the part. So the business aspect, and I know that a lot of times new artists and even legendary artists sometimes get it misconstrued with actually putting an actual show production together as the years go on. So for you, and just the process of, in the tours that you've been on, whether it's with the group or with you and Johnny doing shows, how long is that process actually for you, would you say, and how important is it to actually take time to make sure that the show performance is amazing before actually hitting the stage?
It's so important that everything from the band, the clothing, the the sequencer that you got to use on stage, and the background vocals that have to go into them, so they kind of support what you're doing live. Everything I'm hands on with it. I'm right in the middle of everything at every step. It's always just been important to me to make sure that that part of what I do, and even with New Edition, that part of what we do is as flawless as we can get it. It's just been a major staple in terms of why we do this. We was doing that before we had records. We wanted to impress the girls around the way, whether we was at a block party or a talent show. It was important to hear that reaction and get that right response from when you walked on the stage and what you was wearing, what you had on, to how it sounded. So that's just it's still to this day is probably the most major part of being in the entertainment industry for me, as far as New Edition is concerned, and as a solo artist. When we hit that stage, that was almost more important than when we go into the studio. Now, I know going to the studio, you're going to get take after take after take and all that kind of thing. You can do as many as it takes to get it right. Live on stage, you got one time to make that impression. And if it's not right, you're gonna hear it. You know, the crowd don't hold back. They're gonna let you know. So that it's very important to make sure that those are tight. I gotta be the lighting, the song selections, the set, the the interactions, moments, everything that's gonna happen on that stage is well rehearsed and gone over. Shoot, I said months in advance. To be honest with you, it's actually done with the band and everybody, probably about a total of a week, maybe 2 weeks if you have the time and budget to lock it in with everybody. But the preparation mentally, physically, eating right, doing the exercises to make sure all of those things are going to come together when it's time to hit the stage. It's prepared months in advance.
Right. And what a piece of advice would you give to like an independent artist that's actually trying to learn the business, but have some, challenges, you understanding what's the best direction to go versus this ain't the direction to go.
That's tough, man. The business has changed so much and it's kind of evolving at this point now where everybody's trying to figure out what's the next phase of how to make the most out of it. But I would say one is again practice, practice, practice. Be ready for when the moment does arrive. I'd also say don't feel like you have to know it all yourself. You gotta go to you gotta go to the best. Try to surround yourself with people who are good at this, who've been around it enough to understand what needs to happen, what you should do, and trust them. You know, my thing when I heard Michael Jackson say it years ago, he attributed his success to the people that he hired, the people that he had around him. That's true. I mean, you can't go but so far on your own. You're gonna have to have somebody that surrounds you, that sees the bigger picture with you, and is willing to put the time, the money, the connections, and all those things together to help you get where you need to go at any given time. But between practicing, um, having the right people around you, never get out your own head. You know, never think you've got this all figured out. Keep learning every phase of the way. I'm still learning today. I always feel like there's something better, or something I can do better or more of, trying to outdo yesterday. And that keeps you striving to just always, like you're saying, put that time in the rehearsal studios to make sure you do the extra takes in the studio when you're recording, and you know, just trying to really study the greats. You study the greats, you'll get a better understanding of what people like about artists and and then you can incorporate some of that into your own thing so that you're not your biggest fan. You know, you can love yourself and be confident, but you're not gonna buy your own records and your own tickets to your shows. So you got to be making sure that the feedback from other people is real. You know, no yes men around you and gassing you up. Go in it to really win by getting out your own way and not being your biggest fan. Let the fans be what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be the ones that tell you if you're doing it right or not. You know,
Right.
that,
Wow.
that's my things. And watch your money. This is game right here. Make
That's a
sure
big
you,
one.
make sure you stay on top of everything that's supposed to be made. Your value as it's growing, and making sure that you getting that value. You know.
That's a serious thing. Watch your money, because a lot of times people don't watch that. They put too many people in their business to handle certain things, and they're like, okay, cool, and they're not looking. And
Yeah.
I know you probably have had. I mean, obviously, you live and you learn through experiences to actually take more heed into your business.
Absolutely. When we just come into the game, we would sit right. We'd be in the whole same hotel as Patti LaBelle. She used to call me the Mad Hatter, or and Gladys Knight, and just legends like that. And they would be one of the main things they would tell. Even Michael Jackson, listen, make sure you're watching your money, watch your finances, put it away for a rainy day. This may not last forever. And this was early, Cool It Nowadays, and all of that stuff when we was running into them. They was giving us this advice. Make sure you get on that. And it was probably around that time that we started paying more attention to it, trying to fine tune the contracts, making sure that we were watching out for when we're supposed to have increments and growth in our contracts, and what we were valued at, what was the value of the group as far as when we do tours, records, merchandise, whatever those things may be, just being more hands-on with it so that you was maximizing it, and again, putting it away, not spending it all as it comes in, but preparing for the time that, you don't have no more hit records, so nobody's coming to sit in those seats. You should be okay, investing right, that kind of thing. That's some of the stuff that they would tell us. I remember hearing that a lot. from some of the veteran artists when I was coming in the game. You know, because we're at that point where we got a couple of regular Candy Girl out, got the Cool It Now album that came out, and they're like, okay, guys, this is they don't know if it's going to be one of those long careers or not. You know, a lot of the younger artists come and go, and so they was really adamant when they sat down with us to put some money away and make sure that you keep your eyes on your money. Yeah.
Wow, that's major. I know we're almost out of time, but I got three more questions for you. So I know that you actually just mentioned Michael Jackson, and I wanted to also mention Prince. They're legendary artists who were game changers, trendsetters. So when you think about those two and their legacy, what comes to mind, and what are some of your favorite records from them?
Oh my goodness. that that list can go on and on and on. Favorite records from those guys is really hard. It's a hard one, Duane. You put me on the spot with that one. Because when it comes to Michael Jackson, for me, that starts from a little boy. So I can go back to the I Want You Back and Mama's Pearls and some of the things that inspired me when I was listening to him going, I can't believe this young guy can do this with his voice. And, how, just, it was a lot of things that just inspired me to want to get into it from back then. But when you start getting into the human natures and the want to be starting somethings, when I first heard so tonight you gotta leave that 9 to 5 upon the shelf. When I heard that, I just lost my mind. It's like off the wall, really. Those are the type of records that when you hear them to this day, they go through your body, and if you don't move, there's something wrong with you. You know, that's what it was for him. You get into Michael, there is no real favorite, but I just remember going into the Thriller album. I thought that he started putting down some of his coming out of. I mean, I can't even say that. Rock with you. Come on, man. I can't even get in Lady of My Life. These songs are just so iconic to me that it's hard to pick one. They all had their spot. But Michael's career in general was just one of those things that's hard to pinpoint any one thing that he did greater than the next thing. From how he was able to do his dress code, the records he chose, the people he surrounded himself with, the videos and the things that he came up with to display these records and stuff was just Michael was one of those guys that was doing things for the first time ever. In a time where I guess you could still do that. It just seemed like there's nothing else to do for the first time in the music industry that hasn't been done. And when Michael was in the game, that's what was happening. And Prince, you can go all the way back to his earlier days. You know, I guess around the time I guess when he went into the movies and when Doves Cry and some of those records started coming out is when we started really seeing the overall genius. Like this guy is just incredible because there was an earlier time in my life I slept on Prince. I was so Michael'd out. Yeah, I
You
was so Michael'd out.
what?
I heard the little red Corvettes and some of those we can love until the dawn, making love to. I heard all those and the erotic cities. I felt them. I got it, but I was sleeping on the overall. Then when I started hearing them on, getting more into him where he was
Yeah.
playing all the songs, reducing, I was like, okay, wait a minute. Then I watched him on stage, and he just had his own thing. He had his own presentation. He was Prince, and nobody else was Prince. It was like he was. I'm sure the Jimi Hendrixes and the guys like that from early on. I know he was a Larry Graham fan and stuff like that. So when it came to just some of his influences, I felt it in his music, but I never felt like he was doing somebody else. Prince always just seemed like he had his own lane, just like Michael. So it's hard to pick any one. It's hard to pick a song and say, this is my favorite Prince record. Just like it's hard to do for Michael, man. I just love them as artists. What I do miss is that they never had the opportunity at the height of what they was doing to merge those worlds and do a tour together and
Ooh,
maybe even a
that would be
collaborative
some
song.
crazy stuff to say.
The Michael on the same record, going out on the road. They would have showed us youngsters coming in the game what to look forward to one day. Once you've reached the pinnacle of what you can do, instead of trying to chase that, merge it, blend with other people, blend with other artists, get out there while you have the chance and do something the world's never seen. That would have broke records, I'm sure, that we've never seen and probably won't see at this point because they were so big at a time when music was so big to everybody that we would have been out there in droves, man. They probably would have still been touring today if they was alive off that same tour, because
Gosh, yeah.
everybody I wanted to see that. But yeah, I wish I had gotten a chance, or wish they would have had a chance to put that kind of thing together, do a record or something together, hit the road together, and just kill the world. Yeah.
Exactly. And you guys' names, New Edition, has been thrown around a couple of times for verses and stuff like that. Is that something that you would want to do? You guys have talked about it at all?
We haven't sat down and talked to it as a team. We're just putting together the team in a way where a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that got broken up after the movie and the Hollywood Walk of Fame star ceremony, we were supposed to make a run then. It didn't happen, so we're kind of reconvening now and trying to see what we can put together. We just finished doing all the stuff with the trademarking and all that stuff, so everybody's finally done with that and on board. So we'll see where it goes. What I've heard about it, it's like, it's fun. When I saw Snoop and DMX, that's the first time I said, okay, that's, from that aspect, it looks good. It's just two worlds coming together, two great legends in what they do, coming together and displaying what they've put out throughout the years. I thought from that perspective, more than a versus, it was just them in there having a ball with each other, and that's the first time I got into it. But I keep telling people, we used to do a versus. We have all we need right in house.
True.
We got Bobby Brown, Johnny Gill, BBD, Ralph Tresvant versus New Edition, and all those records. So maybe we'll have fun with something like that, opposed to making it something where we got to go against another artist or New Kids on the Block or Boyz II Men or Jodeci or something, because I just feel like if we did one, it would have to be on that level with a Jodeci or Boyz II Men or somebody like that. But overall, I think if we was to really be smart about it, we just have fun in front of everybody with all the catalog and all the records that we have, because it stretches so long and there's so many hits that I don't know too many people who could verse that, go song for song, and then after a couple of albums be done and we still got 5-6 more albums worth of number one records to go. I
Right.
think more fun with ourselves, just being able to do it amongst us and have fun with the fans and everybody.
Yeah. I think everybody would be here for it, especially with y'all in the catalog individually with the different subdivisions of groups and stuff like that. I think the culture wants to see that. So somewhere, Swiss, Tim, if you watching, let's make this happen. So my last question that I like to ask all my guests is, and it can be either two or three, or four, but I like to say, what are some things that exemplify you as an artist and as a man?
Wow. It changes so much over the years, man. Back in the days, I would have probably said something about just being able to come out to projects and be an example for, other people and other artists who want to try to get out of them predicaments. I was a good blueprint for a lot of that stuff. But there's so many artists that were that. Most artists that you hear from, a lot of the Motown artists, they were very hard and humble times that they all came out of. And so overall, I think at this point, as a man, it's just being passionate about my family and my personal life, and as a artist, just representing love, man. Like 90-something% of the records that I've sang about throughout my years has been about love and spreading that kind of energy, keeping that frequency, keeping that going out there. Um, when I could have changed up and I could have did some of the bump and grinds or some, and I have had records that like Sexo that I'll engage in that. But for the most part, it's love, man. Connecting and bonding, that kind of message out there. That's what I overall think I stand for as an artist. It's just making sure that that people can feel the love for each other, for what I do, for themselves, falling in love, falling out of love, and making love work. Telling the truth about love, man. I think that that's been one of the things that, as I look back, I spoke about the most. I seem to represent the most, whether I'm trying to make the group thing work, whether I'm doing a solo thing, or whether I'm just dealing with my own family. I just want everybody to feel that love.
Right. And I think that's important to definitely for people to feel love, especially during these times. And I think that everybody's definitely going to feel the positive message and love from hearing this conversation. So Ralph, I definitely want to thank you so much for, taking some time out today to chat with me, chat with us, and, just letting the people know that you're about to come with this fourth album and to look out for it. Definitely appreciate you.
Thank you for helping me get the message out there. Shout out to our good friend, Tina. The tasty wine. Shout out to you, bro. Duane told me y'all was close, so I had to make sure I did that. But yeah, I appreciate you taking the time and letting me come out here on your platform, man, and share myself with the world and what I'm doing. And yeah, go get that All Mine. Go check it out. It's about love too. Nothing changed.
Absolutely. So let people know where they can also like follow you as far as like socials are concerned too.
The Real Ralph Tresvant on Instagram. I have a few pages. I only have 2 pages on there. And I mean, just I'm one of those artists, man. I tell them all the time, just Google me, man. Just put my name in there, and something's gonna pop up that I'm either doing now or I've done in the past, man. But it's not hard to catch me. Especially right now with the single, I'm doing a lot of moving around and a lot of posting things to make sure people can. It's always current. Something's always current on these social media platforms so that they can understand where I'm at or what I'm doing. But yeah, I'd say Instagram and Facebook is where you catch me the most. That's where I'm usually at. But if you need to, just Google it, man. Google Ralph Tresvant, and something will pop up where you'll find
me. Right. All right, everybody, and that was our show for this evening. Shout outs to Ralph and RL for these amazing combos of combos. Because listen, y'all see how we was vibing during this episode? Yeah, that's how it always is supposed to be and how it always is when you speak to R&B legends. So make sure you guys support them in their new music endeavors. Check out what they have to come later this year because they're doing big things. And I'm pretty sure they're hitting the stage near you. So make sure that you guys follow them on socials and everything else. But also, I want to tell you guys what we got going on next week's episode. We got Corinne Hawthorne, Final Jab, and June 3rd. So make sure that you guys join us for next week's show. But tomorrow on IG Live, we talking to our girl, Miss Maya. The first time that me and Maya are going to be interacting on video with each other, and you guys get to see it on live. Yes. After all these years of so many phoners, we finally meet face to face. So this is going to be dope. Make sure you guys tune in for that IG Live happening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 Pacific Time for all my West Coasters. Shout outs to LA. We on our way back to the West Coast, but make sure that you guys tune in with our show every week. 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 Pacific Time for all my West Coasters. Again, because I know y'all like to get confused with the 3-hour difference. And it's really not that difficult, but y'all make it really, really difficult. And IG Live series wraps up next week, so you never know who we're going to be speaking to. Got some dope things lined up, so you never know. We might be doing 2 interviews in one day. We might be doing 1. You never know, but just make sure you guys tune in next week, Monday and Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 Pacific Time, because we just doing dope things. And continue to send your questions for Dear Duane at info@onairwithdavid.com. So make sure that you guys submit. If you need relationship advice, industry advice, just all types of whatever advice you guys need, because y'all know that I can help you guys. Anyway, you guys stay blessed, stay safe. Continue to wear your mask, wash your hands. And you see what washing your hands do? You have long nails. I mean, they're not like long, but they're long enough. So make sure that you guys stay safe out there. The pandemic still does exist. So you guys want to just be very mindful about what you do out there. And we'll catch you guys next week. It's going to be a dope show. And